something interesting. And if it isn't interesting, then there's plenty of other channels out there, and I wouldn't do this if I didn't think that maybe I was inspiring some people or maybe educating some people. This is about deceptions, and when people try to hide things, like I said, how John Douglas was such a good detective, because when anybody tried to cover something up, he'd be able to find it. And he probably just didn't do that in the behavioral science unit of the FBI. He probably did it in his day-to-day life all the time. Probably things that, you know, we'll never hear about in books or anything that may even be more interesting than the criminals that he's tried to catch, you know. Because that's his way of life. It's the way he sees all the time. Probably doesn't make him a very popular person. Me, you know, I've been a runner since I was a kid, right? You got to deal with people's dogs. I've gotten bit, stitches, down by Detroit, you have to deal with people's pit bulls, and the dogs simply betray the mentality of their owners, okay? And it was prophesied about me quite a few years ago. There's these grand prophecies of you, but it was like a charismatic church, but there's this some dog is barking. See, this dog is barking because the enemy knew I had an apprehension toward dogs. And it came to when I run, you know, I run in mountains, I run in snowstorms, and I run where my ears are popping the first quarter mile because I'm going so steep up a hill. And sometimes it's a scramble rather than a run. And I got a machete on my back and stuff. I've got a headlight on my head at night. And if I get myself in situations where I don't make it home until after dark, well, that's what I like. And so when my testosterone is up, and I've met cougar, bobcat, stuff like that, and someone had to remind me, they said, you know, there's cougar out here, and I'm like, you know, yeah, but I run with a machete on my back. And they said, you know, you wouldn't know he's there until he's on your back. And he's right about that. But see, the cougar, he's not dumb. There's risk in it for him too. And he's studying me. He knows whether it's not. He doesn't want to mess with me. Because I'm not prey. I'm not his dinner. I'm not going to let him eat me. And prey have eyes on the side. Predators have eyes in front. He doesn't typically want me for lunch, for food. And when, you know, that's the kind of adventure that, you know, I kind of look for when I'm out there. Meaning, if something comes barreling out of the woods, whether it's a car, no matter what it is, I'm going to make them work for it because I'm pumped, you know. And I've met other, you know, serious athletes that, you know, you're pumped like that all the time. So when you go into a grocery store, you got the same attitude that you had when you were out running. You're like, potatoes, I'm on you. Produce, here I come. You know, and people are like, whoa, what's with that guy? You know, and if somebody crosses you the wrong way, you can get loud. It's because you're pumped, you're stronger. So I started losing my fear of dogs because I started confronting them. There was a pit bull, came out 100 feet, maybe 200 feet out of a driveway in the wintertime around some snowbanks to come at me, to attack me, black one. And I walked down into a tree where there was some broken limbs, and I broke out a branch, and I went after him, and I saw the whites of his eyes because he went, oh shit, I got trouble. And the owner came out and pinned him to the floor, pinned him out in the middle of the road, and took his belt off and whipped him while I stood there with a stick in my hand. And the guy said, if it's any consolation, I don't think he would have bitten you. Bullshit! And I didn't say a word, and I just walked by, and I kept my stick in my hand. And there's times when I go by homes like that where I have to leave a stick 200 yards before the house, 200 yards after, depending on which way I'm coming, or if I have to go by it twice. It's because the dog exemplifies the behavior of the owner. You can tell what's going on behind closed doors. You can tell what they think about people because the dog's betraying them. He acts just like them. So there was a situation just a couple weeks ago, and I'm laid up right now. I can't run. I'm too dehydrated. I'm too overworked. I've got too much going on upstairs to exercise right now. But it was a couple weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. I'm getting ready for court, and I'm trying to get myself in shape and get my mind together and everything so I can handle myself well when I meet these bad guys that want to evict me. Attorneys that I've dealt with before. Stuff like that. So I'm running in just Podunkville, and I don't dress down from Podunkville, but I'm out running, and I typically like to run loops. That's better than running back and forth. It's less, it's more interesting. It's more, there's more gains. Like, I shouldn't try to make that too fine, but I've got a little pie going on. I go up this hill, come around, back through a few houses I've got to pass. A Rottweiler came out, 100 yards out to attack me. Big as a pit bull. Damn it. And I know he's somebody's pet, and I know they're in there, they're getting up out of their chair, and they want to see what's going on. And I don't start throwing kicks at it or anything, but I also want to negotiate with the dog and tell him that I'm not your chew toy. The guy comes out, calls his dog in, big pot-belly guy, big redneck guy. I'm yelling again. Big redneck guy, big pot-belly, calls his dog in. He says, he's really not a bad dog, he just doesn't like people coming down the street. And then he tried turning the tables. I wouldn't answer him. I'm not going to play this, it's okay to do that, because people have gotten away with their animals to where, and I think I lost track there. I was talking about my mom. Or did I talk about my mom? Being a criminologist, I think I did. She always said people are ignorant with their animals. It's because people think it's some human essential to have an animal. They don't even know how to take care of themselves. And their dogs are attacking people. So this dog still didn't want to let me go. So I start leaving again. He comes at me again. He got to yell at the dog, brings the dog back, and he says, what do you do, buddy, out running? As if I was out causing trouble, like I stirred the dog up or something. And I wouldn't respond to that. I just looked back at the house. I stared at it like, And he watched, and he was nervous. And he probably wanted to know, God, who runs around here? Who is that guy? How much do I have to keep my dog in? Am I going to get in trouble? Are they going to call the law? And my Suburban is very unique. It's black, chrome. Everybody knows, especially in Podunkville, it stands out. Everybody knows where it is. And it's usually parked at home because I work at home. And he probably wanted to know who it was. And that night, I went out to the woods that day to get some peace of mind. And I was dressed sharp at that point in the woods. I just had a sweater on, walking stick. And when I went home, I went a different way because I wanted to be led by the Spirit and not by calculation, okay? And I went down this particular way, not have anything to do with this house, but this guy was backing out with his truck, and he backed out in front of me, and I kind of put my finger up like, that's that house. He may have saw it, and then I have to go up a hill, and I look in the rearview mirror, and he pulls over to the side of the road like he's going to stay there, but I know what he's doing. He noticed that Suburban, he knows that's me, he's going to go around that pie and he's going to see if I'm the guy that lives where the Suburban's parked. So I went around, and rather than do what he thought I might do, I went across the road into town, over across to a gas station, got like $5 of gas. When I paid and I walked out, I got in the vehicle to, in order to go home, I should leave the gas station without getting on a road and going out on it, but I wanted to do something different, and I knew he was out there somewhere. I pulled out to get onto the road, and there he was on the other side of the road waiting there. He's got a light on his truck, the old beat-up gray truck, and he looked this way and that way because he didn't want me to catch him spying on me. And he made a left-hand turn, and I followed him. I say, let's see how far we can go with this. He's got a ball cap on. He turned into like a pristine bank. It's got an ATM in the front doors. And he didn't know what to do. And I went behind the bank and I pulled into a spot that I knew was there. And I got my camera phone out, and maybe I'll show you the video sometime. It's a fairly long one. And I held it there because I knew he was trying to bluff me. And this wasn't even the type of bank that he could handle. These were finer people, that, you know, women that wear their high heels and stuff. He didn't have any business even being in that parking lot. Probably knew there was an ATM, or could read that there was an ATM there, and I was sitting behind him, but he couldn't see me. He didn't know I was back there, but he knew I was following him. And he was in his truck for a long time while I waited, recording all this, light on his truck and everything, fire truck light, you know, like woodcutters have or whatever, snowplow guys. And he came out of this truck, and he had a white card in his hand, probably something he found in his glove box. I don't know of any white ATM cards anymore anyway. And he walked in the double doors, and I could see that he slowed back, so he was using the ATM, and they were tinted windows. And he stayed in there for over 10 minutes because he didn't know what to do. And he was probably looking out, wondering if he could see me, whether I was there, trying to come up with another plan because he figured I was going to follow him some more. And it was so funny. He came back out, got in his truck, and I followed him, and I panned the truck all the way away, and I went home because I had better things to do. Anyway, I remembered the truck because I used to park by it by the library. So I thought, okay, I'm going to go by, I'm going to check it out and see if it's him. I went to the library. He was like a dishwasher or something at some podunk restaurant that they're foul-mouthed girls and stuff that smoke cigarettes out back in their dirty aprons and stuff. He works there. And I stood up on the top of my truck to see because the light was gone off the truck, and he disguised it now. And I looked on the top of the truck to see if I could see the scar mark where the sticker was that kept the light on. I didn't see that, and I didn't give myself a lot of time to do it. And he'd also changed the tailgate from a steel tailgate to one of those mesh rubber jobs. He had some like lumber sticking out of it or something. He's that scared. So I had to determine, is this the same thing? So I had to watch my video, and I noticed his hubcaps. One rusty one that was like gone, and one clean one. He didn't fix that, and I did get that in the video. It was him. Same guy. You could tell by looking at him. One day he was power washing the thing, and I was power washing the building, and I was just walking through town doing what I do, just kind of actually what I do is nobody's business, but people are pretty interested in what I'm doing. Anyway, I walked by, and he was power washing this place, and there was the truck, and I wanted to get the license plate, so I went by with my phone, I panned it. There's the hubcaps, the light is gone, the new tailgate and everything. And it's interesting, this gentleman went through that much trouble because he didn't want to be found out that he was spying on me. And I should probably get back to dogs, but I'm not right now. But the deception part of it, I'd like to load the video. It's really funny because, I'm explaining it as I'm sitting there, but it's rather long. Like, he was in there like 10 minutes, but I was going to give that to law enforcement and everything, but I moved away. I'm sure he's really happy, but hopefully he leaves his goddamn dog in from now on. Doesn't let him run out and attack people, Anyway, be inspired by those things. I pray that you are. In Yeshua's name, amen.